because the idea of behavior out of nowhere is actually kind of a myth. Very rarely is behavior ever out of nowhere, right? It seems that way to us. Lots of cases, it's just that we've missed conversations, we've missed moments. We're not seeing the whole picture from the fearful dog's mind, right? And so we think it's out of nowhere, but in essence, it isn't, because behavior builds and tension builds. And dogs, if you haven't heard me say this before, dogs don't hold grudges, but they do remember unfinished conversations. We're getting into a good one today. This episode, the calm before the boom. What your dog's out of nowhere moments really mean and what you can do about it. Let's get into it. Ready to have a calm and peaceful life with your dog without the stress of those fear-based behaviors? Hi, I'm Tracy, and I've been there, overwhelmed by all the conflicting dog training advice and unsure of what to do next. But now I help dog lovers like you simplify your life with your dog by building confidence naturally, fostering trust, and addressing those fear-based challenges. So, if you're ready, stop chopping those chicken wieners and let's get to it. Hey there, friend. Do you ever feel like your dog is just, wired a little differently? Like no matter what training you've tried, they're still skittish, stubborn, or reactive? Well, that's because your dog has a unique doginality. Yes, that is a thing. And I created a free doginality quiz to help you better understand how your dog thinks, feels, and learns. It's fun, it's quick, and the insights might just change everything about how you live and love your dog. So go take that quiz right now at beyondobedience.ca/quiz and be sure to tell me what you got inside the Facebook group. I'll see you there. Well, hello, my dog-loving friend. It is Tracy. Welcome to Beyond Obedience, the podcast. I have to tell you, I was scrolling. I was scrolling again. I'm trying really hard not to scroll, but I did. I was scrolling, and I came across one of those videos of two dogs meeting each other. And I don't know if you're like me, but every time I see those videos, there's a moment, like where they first go up to one another. They're maybe still circling, doing their butt sniffing as dogs do. And then there's that moment, the moment where they freeze. And I find myself every time we're in that moment, I hold my breath. And I hold my breath because honestly, I've been doing it for so long. It's after that moment that we're either going to have joyful play, which will be delightful, or a toothy disagreement. And so, and there's always such relief when it turns into joyful play, and you're just like, yes, that happened. But I've had the opportunity to introduce hundreds of dogs, and no matter what, I still find myself holding my breath. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of the calm before the boom and what your dog's out of nowhere moments really mean, because this doesn't just happen inside of, dog interactions, but it can happen, at any moment. I'm sure if you're somebody that has a fearful dog or a reactive dog, you've experienced the calm before the boom. that moment where you find yourself holding your breath. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that and how we can not only recognize what we're doing, our emotional response to things, but also how we can take that as information to help us better serve our dogs, better guide our dogs through these moments. And so these hold your breath moments really do matter. That tension you feel before your dog reacts, that's not just nerves, that's data or data. Is it data? Data. Is data something like a British versus like North American thing? Like, do we pronounce it data or data? I don't even know what I'm going to go with now. Now the word doesn't even sound right to me. But this is your moment in these moments when you hold your breath. This is your moment to take in that data. And it's like niche or niche. Niche or niche. Niche. Data. I'm going to be stuck on that all day now. But this is a moment to trust your instincts. And you might not know why something feels off yet, but your nervous system does. And if your nervous system is picking up on something, then your dog picks up on something. And trust me when I say this is like a chicken egg situation, right? Anytime that we're talking about dogs reacting or blowing off, it does make you stop and wonder, is that the dog and I'm reacting to it, or is that me preemptively reacting to my dog's upcoming reaction? Chicken and egg situation. And I know that makes it really frustrating, but this is where I want you to start to tap into your emotional responses to this thing. And I want to tell, you know what, I'm going to do a sidebar thing because gosh, it wouldn't be a Tracy podcast if I didn't go do a sidebar. But I actually had a moment of where I did not trust my instincts. And I have to admit, I shook my head at myself because I'm like, I teach this inside my programs, Tracy. Like, this is you not taking your own advice. Now, admittingly, this actually had to do with my horse. And I will say I have been doing like a lot of stuff with horses. I haven't in a couple of years, many years, I should say. But I did invest a lot of time and energy learning natural horsemanship and loved it. And it gave me so many ahas and insights. And as I say, I haven't been back at it yet for a very long time, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, my point is this. If you got my recent email a few weeks ago about how we had the farrier come by and Sonny tried to kill me. That was one half a story. The other half of that story was that the reason why I had the farrier come out was because I was concerned about Magic's back end and his back feet in particular, because he had a weird stance and everything. And I had talked myself into an absolute tizzy. Oh, aren't we good at that? Oh, I can worst case scenario with the best of them. Right? If you're like have any sort of like wonder about one of my superpowers, it's worst case scenario that like I can worst case scenario everything. I also come up with like contingency plans if it is the worst case scenario, but I worst case scenario this. I literally talked myself into the fact that I thought he had founder. Even though it normally founders in the front end, these were his back legs, but I vet MD'd it. I Googled stuff. It was wrong. I went dark. I went deep and dark. I'm telling you. Anyway, so here I am, like, I just got to get a farrier out. I got to get a farrier out and to go look at his feet and tell me like what they can do, because I also got in the weeds. So long story short, I call this farrier in. But here was the funny thing. When I was with Magic, when I was kind of looking at him and his stance and whatnot, I would kind of massage his hip and his back end. And I felt like his muscles were really, really tense. And so I would kind of massage them. And then I would be like, why are these so tense? Like, your muscles seem really tense. And then I'd go over to Sunny and I'd feel her back leg. And I'm like, does that feel the same? And then I go back to Magic and I'm like, I don't know. It feels like it's almost muscular. It feels like it's more up here in his flank. But then I would go back to the feet. Like, it must be his feet. It must be his feet. Because he didn't want to pick up his feet. So I'm like, it must be his feet. Anyway, the end result of it was the farrier came and did his feet. And it's like, his feet are fine. I'm like, so he doesn't have founder? And gosh, love my farrier. He's like, no, that's usually in the front end. I'm like, I know, but I just, and he was like, no, his feet, his feet are fine. And then he had to say to me, he's like, it actually feels more like it's in his leg, like it's in this muscle here. And then we talked about how old he was. And then we talked about some stretches we could do. Like, and I literally was like, I can't believe, like, I thought, like, I knew it. You know what I mean? Like I knew it. I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. And I didn't trust my instincts. And I will quite often not trust my instincts with horses. I'm way better with dogs. I'm more innately in tune with dogs. I'm more innately in tune with predator over prey. So I do find like for me, dog stuff kind of comes a little bit more naturally, whereas horses, I kind of had to work at it and learn, and I'm still learning. We're always still learning. Anyway, my point is this: I didn't trust my own instincts. I didn't trust my own instincts, and you know, there I was, like I kind of already knew that, but thanks for coming out and confirming it for me. That was a expensive lesson because I paid him for 2 horses, even though I only did 1. But the point is this. One of the things that I do talk a lot about in the programs that I have is this idea of learning to trust our instincts, learning to listen to when we do hold our breath, learning to listen to when we are, you know, taking that pause. Because the idea of behavior out of nowhere is actually kind of a myth. Very rarely is behavior ever out of nowhere. Right? It seems that way to us. Lots of cases, it's just that we've missed conversations, we've missed moments. We're not seeing the whole picture from the fearful dog's mind, right? And so we think it's out of nowhere, but in essence, it isn't, because behavior builds and tension builds. And dogs, if you haven't heard me say this before, dogs don't hold grudges, but they do remember unfinished conversations. So if we're talking about dogs reacting to, if you have a multi-dog household, if they're reacting to dogs in your home, or even if they are reacting to your neighbor's dogs, they remember unfinished conversations. And I will tell you as a sidebar, the reason why neighboring dogs with fences in between them continue to have issues is because those are always unfinished conversations. And when I say unfinished, I'm not even saying that that the end of the conversation would necessarily be bad. But the frustration of the barrier between the dogs doesn't allow them to finish their natural conversations, whatever that may be. And maybe the finished conversation is, I don't like you and we're not going to be friends. Maybe the finished conversation is, hey, you're kind of cool and we could actually be friends. But because they don't finish it, that's why every day your dog goes out and talks crap to your neighbor's dog and your neighbor dog talks crap back. They are not able to finish that conversation. Now, some of that becomes repetitive and habitual and all that stuff. And that's not what this topic is about. But I digress. The point is, dogs remember unfinished conversations. They don't hold grudges, right? So when we go out, we'll quite often say things like, oh, my dog hates that dog. They may or they may not, but the idea is they probably just have an unfinished conversation because they don't hold grudges. Once the conversation is done, you ever noticed that, you know, feral dogs and whatnot will have little scraps, and then after that, it's done. It's finished. They don't keep having the same scraps every day. They finish. They move on, and dogs do too. But we just quite often we don't give them the opportunity to do that. Now, I will say, don't misunderstand me. I'm not telling you to if you've got fighting dogs in your house, I am not under any circumstances telling you to let them finish that conversation. Please hear me when I say that. That's not what I mean. Okay? That's not what I mean. I should have prefaced that statement before I said that, but please understand. I just want you to know that behavior doesn't come out of nowhere, that they remember unfinished conversations. So kind of some of the things that you can try is after each walk or each play session or each social interaction, I want you to pause and reflect and say, not only what did I see, but how did I feel? If anyone has taken or had a consult with me, I always start off by saying, you're going to hear me say this a lot, but like how I feel about something. I talk about I'm a feeler, not a thinker. How do I feel about that? Because I'm really trying to tap into my intuition, which again, great for dogs, not great for horses, but but I digress. And then me, going like, what might my dog have been trying to say there? And then, more importantly, how are they now? In particular, are they more excited after they've come back from a walk? Are they still in drive when they come back for a walk, or are they at ease? And if they are still in drive, let's figure that out. Okay? Let's figure that out. Let's not leave a dog in drive and be like, now you're in drive. Come on back into the house and and have that let's do that someplace else. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in step number 4. All right, step number 3. I want you to interrupt the spiral early without panic. So when you feel that shift, I want you to act early and calmly. Now, here's where I think a lot of people get caught up in this concept is that people will say to me all the time, I didn't know whether or not I should just let that go or if that was okay. And they get stuck in analysis paralysis. And the bottom line is, part of trusting your feeling is to actually trust your feeling. If you feel it's off, before you go, or maybe it's not, just go and stop the whatever they are about to do. Just go and respond while everything is still calm. But you have to do it calmly and with a calm mindset. If you go, bleep, my dog's about to blow, and you run at them, that's not going to work, right? You have to act early and calmly. You want to redirect that energy into something else. So you can maybe take a walk or shift environments, maybe offer a sniff or some other thing, but it's not punishment. It's just, this is emotional regulation. We're just trying to get them to come off of that. Right? And so if you're thinking to yourself, all right, Tracy, I'm going to try that. How do I do that? The first thing that you need to ask yourself is, what do I need to do in advance to interrupt the behavior before and without panic on your side, right? What do you need to do? What do you, and that's probably tools, my friend. It's probably tools. Because I will say, for example, if you have a dog, the only thing I can think of right now is my friend's dog situation, because she's working on inter-dog relationships within her pack. So let's use her for an example. So for this particular situation, she's got a dog that will, periodically get a little bit spicy with her other dogs in the house. And the suggestion for that would be having her on a long line. The reason why we want the long line is because you are naturally going to get more panicky the closer you are to the dog. That's just a fact. Like, if you see the dog over there and you're like, oh, shoot, I got to go stop that, and you start heading towards them, there's a couple of things that can happen. The first thing that will happen is your energy of excitement to I got to stop this dog is going to fire up the dog. The other thing that happens that people quite often don't think about is that when you go after a dog and they're they're right before that moment of, I'm going to get that thing, right? I'm going to go get that dog. And they feel your energy coming up behind them. Some dogs kind of have a, great, you're with me. They feel like they have backup now because you're energetically pushing that dog towards the target and you're backing them up. And so they're like, I'm going to go after that dog. So, and this person is also on my side going after that dog. They're not going to be like, oh, you're coming after me to stop me. They're going to be like, I'm in drive. You see that I'm in drive. We're partnering up to attack that dog. That can happen 100%. So what's a better idea is to have that long line on. And then what we can do is when we see it, when we go, I don't really like that body language, or how I'm feeling a certain way about that. You don't even have to identify how you're feeling. You can just be like, I'm feeling a certain way about that. Then all you have to do is you have to step on that line, pick it up, and then we play a little yo-yo game. We just pick it up, and then we're lightly going to ask the dog to come back. We're going to be like, come on back here. We're going to break some focus. Now, is it true that the pressure on the leash is going to set her off or the dog off? Yes. So I'm going to try to get her attention, or his attention, when I'm thinking about this one particular dog. I'm going to try to get that attention back without the pull on the leash. But if I can't, I at least have the leash. And now I have this way of being able to influence her from afar and still like prevent her from going forward. And if she has a little meltdown, I'm just going to worm my way back up. I'm going to kind of hand over hand my way up the leash and just be like, till I can get her attention. And I'm going to stay particularly calm, even if she's freaking out. And I'm going to ask her to come back. That's how I'm going to do that. So, you know, for whatever, you need to think about, what do I need to accomplish this idea of getting the dog's attention without panic? How can I do that? That's what you're going to be working on, right? And another good tip for this is to practice the idea of saying no to the dog in low stakes situations. So your dog knows what it means and what comes next. So by practicing this, it actually builds trust and not a shutdown. No to the dog doesn't mean the end of all things or I'm going to be in trouble. No means stop what you're doing right there. I don't like it. And this is what we're going to do next. And when you have the opportunity to practice those in low stakes or low stress situations, it allows your dog to create almost a no feed bank of like, okay, no is not terrible. No is just information. All right, number 4, help your dog come off of the adrenaline naturally. Okay, so I mentioned this before, but when you come back from, you know, those high tense situations and you're like, you're going to ask, you know, not only do I feel, but how is my dog doing now after the event? Are they still adrenalized? And if they are, if they're still in drive and they're still adrenalized, we're going to actually do something that takes them out of that drive and sort of decreases the adrenaline naturally. This is tapping into that predatory motor pattern I've talked about before, where most dogs get themselves all amped up having conversations or whatnot, and then they don't come off of it naturally. So some things that you can do at the end of a high energy event is things like taking them for a little sniffari. Is that what people call them? Sniffaris. You could do a little bit more of a structured pack walk with you where you're getting the dog to like get up on things and down on things and, you know, basically to check back in with you. Scattered feeding or a snuffle mat. And anyway, any sort of thing that sort of allows them to come off of that high naturally. And then finally, number 5 is actually like a nervous system check for you, the human. Okay, we gotta take into consideration that you are your dog's anchor, right? Your dog mirrors what's going on with you, but they're mirroring your energy and your intent, right? And if you can't lead them through the storm, if you are the storm. Oh my God, I kind of love that. Notes that Tracy's made that after she reads them goes, oh, that's so good. You can't lead your dog through the storm if you are the storm. What? Oh, so good. I'm telling you, you know, say that to somebody today. Take that podcast. Be like, I heard this line on this podcast. You should listen to it. It's beyond obedience. She said, you can't lead your dog through the storm if you are the storm. Oh, I love that so much. Anyway, what does that mean? A couple of things. I want you to think about right even before the walk, before you walk out the door or any other situation where your dog may struggle. I want you to pause for 1 second and say, how do I want to show up for this right now? That's your first question. How do I want to show up for this right now? I want you to take a moment and be like, okay, I'm going to, I want to be the calm here. I'm going to be the zen of this moment. Whatever you need to do, you're going to do it, right? But then the next thing after that is, am I able to show up that way right now? Am I able to do that? And if the answer is no, you could ask yourself, if it's no, okay, what do I need? What do I need to do it? Or even better, decide that you're not going to do it. And that's okay. That is, in essence, the greatest leadership you can possibly give right then and there, is to have that gut check to say, I don't have what it takes right now to do this. I am not in the right headspace. What can I do instead? So maybe that looks like, if you know that this is the time when the ding dong boxer is out in the yard, or the wackadoodle dachshund is going to be barking, or now it just seems like I'm picking on certain breeds. I'll use my own breeds. That pain in the ass JRT is going to be out there digging at the fence, whatever, right? If you know that this is the time that they're going to be out and you're like, I've just had a day and I don't think I have what it takes today, do something else. And it's okay. It's okay, my friend. Nobody is going to be there giving you an award for powering through and just barely making it through a walk. You know, there's no gold stars that are being given. You don't have to live up to this expectation. You can choose to do something else, and you should. And maybe that something else is, we're just going to go in the backyard and we're going to play some games out there. You know, I'm going to set up some like small jumps or a little environmental agility course, and let's go play some things or find some stuff, or I'm going to do a scent trail with you and let's do that together. And you'll find more often than not, your dog is going to enjoy that more because you're there and present and able to do it, than to just grin and bear it, grit down and do the walk that you are dreading doing, right? Now, am I saying to not do it forever? No, of course not. You know, of course not. If that's your dream, is to have peaceful walks out in your neighborhood, not have to worry about things, then we can work on that. Let's work on that together. Why wouldn't we work on that together? I can help you with that. There are people that can help you with that. I can help you with that. You know, find a trainer in your area that you trust that can help you with that. But don't you just like force yourself to do it, because the cycle, it happens time and time again, is going to be the same. You're going to get more and more frustrated. Your dog's going to get more and more reactive, and you're going to eventually just stop altogether. And you're going to find that hanging out with your dog is no fun, right? And that's not true. Your dog's fun, and so are you. So do the things that you want to do. Maybe that means you go and you find a place, you get in the car and you take your dog to another place, and you go where there's no crazy ass Jack Russell that's digging at the fence. I don't know. Right? But the point is that part of the leadership is to recognize when you just don't have what it takes. And that's okay, because not every day is going to be the best day. And you can, you know, call it what you want to. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, I think that's it. Did I have everything in my notes? I think that's it. So what if the thing that your dog just did wasn't a failure, but it was a clue? Okay. What would shift if you approach these moments with curiosity instead of self-blame? What would shift for you there? What if you were like, hey, how interesting? Okay. So if you want to understand why your dog does the things that they're doing, even when it seems like it's out of nowhere, I'm going to remind you one more time, take that free dogonality quiz. That's a great place to start. I've had a lot of feedback with that. People are really enjoying the quiz because it is allowing them to see their dogs differently. Not in the traditional dog training gobbledygook terminology of dominant, submissive, alpha, whatever, yada, yada. But rather like, okay, my dog is being, you know, a little bit left brain today, or my dog's being a little bit right brain today. They're an extrovert. Like, it allows you to see your dog differently. So you get insight into how your dog thinks and feels and reacts. And it may be a game changer for building a beautiful bond with your dog. Remember, if you take that quiz, you're going to get a series of emails from me that are going to help you understand your dog a little bit better. So why not take it? And I love quizzes. Quizzes are fun. Quizzes are fun. Take the quiz. Let me know what you got. And once you take that quiz, I want you to go inside the Facebook group, the free Facebook group, Living Beyond Obedience. And I want you to tell me what you got. And then tell me if you agree with it, right? Let's have a discussion. Let's find out. Let's talk about it inside the Facebook group. All right. If you enjoyed this episode, my friend, be sure to take a moment and share it with another dog loving friend. Because if you love it, there's a good chance they're going to love it too. And then there's more of us that can hang out. And I would really appreciate it. It really does help get the show out to more and more people. Give me a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. As always, my friend, get out there today and be the person that your dog thinks you are. Because your dog thinks that you're amazing. And so do I. Have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Oh, and one more thing. This podcast is meant for entertainment and education purposes only and is not meant to replace hands-on professional training. If you're really struggling with your dog, please reach out to a professional in your area. All right, I think that's it. Bye for now.